Good afternoon. We're going to continue yesterday's discussion of business organizations by talking about mergers. So there's two different types of mergers we're going to talk about today: horizontal mergers and vertical mergers. The first one is horizontal mergers, and this occurs when two or more firms at the same kind of product were to join together, which we'll talk more about in a second. But we have to think about why it is that they would merge companies. All right. Well, first of all, to grow larger because we have more resources, just like a partnership is larger than a sole proprietorship and has more resources available to it. Same thing after two companies have merged. They become more efficient because they are larger. To acquire new product lines and to eliminate a rival. Those are all reasons why two companies would merge together. Now, it's not that they're doing it because they like each other. It's just one company bought out another company and then they merge. Remember that at any point in time, if I'm going too quickly, you can always pause and rewind the video. So let's talk about an example of a horizontal merger that has not happened, but I'm just trying to show you two companies on the same level would be like Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, right? They clearly are two different companies, but they're on the same level. So if one were to buy out the other, that would be a horizontal merger. But an example of an actual horizontal merger that has happened for two companies on the same level of production would be like Sirius XM. So that used to be two different companies, Sirius and XM Radio, and they merged together. And some of you might be thinking, well, how is that not a monopoly? And it's not a monopoly in the sense that you have other choices to listen to in the car. You could stream music through your Bluetooth. You could also listen to the radio. All right, so that was a horizontal merger. So let's now talk about a vertical merger. So vertical, going up and down, think of horizontal lines versus vertical lines. All right, that's going to help you, I think, when you're thinking about this. So a vertical merger is the second kind of merger, and it involves companies that are in two different steps of manufacturing. So, for example, if Dunkin' Donuts were to buy out Dixie Cup, which they have not, but if they would, then that can be all part of a larger company. They can get their resources more cheaply, and it would be a lot easier for them to lower their prices and make a higher profit. So, an example of this would be Google acquiring YouTube. All right. So, I don't know if you've ever paid attention, but if you have a Google account, you automatically now have a YouTube account because of the fact that Google purchased YouTube. All right. Two different levels of production into one company. All right. So the next thing is a franchise. And this is what we were talking about yesterday in the sense that not all big companies franchise out. And a franchise means that you're, as a franchisee, are buying a license for the right to sell the products in a certain area. And it depends on the franchise. Some franchise have rules where there cannot be another franchise of the same thing within a certain number of miles or a certain number of people. If you go to the city, though, for example, there's Starbucks on every corner, or if you go to other areas, there's Dunkin' Donuts on every corner, and it's because of the number of people in an area. And so, why would anybody want to buy a franchise? Well, it's a known product. Like, for example, when I get my Dunkin' Donuts iced tea, I can go to Dunkin' Donuts in Florida, I can go to Dunkin' Donuts in California, and I know I'm getting the same iced tea. So it's a known product. Same thing if you go to McDonald's anywhere across the country, you know that a Big Mac is a Big Mac. And there's name recognition. I'm not going to lie. When I see the signs on the highway, I look for the one that I want. And if it's not there, then I don't stop. Okay. Disadvantages of owning a franchise. It's very costly because you're buying into that known product and all of that work is done for you. You don't have to worry about, getting your name out there. You don't have to worry about people learning who you are. And so, for example, to get a Dunkin' Donuts franchise, depending on the size of the one that you want, you need about $250,000 in assets, but you have the ability to make a lot of money. There's also little creative freedom with the products. So you have to buy your cups, for example, your tea, your coffee, whatever, from specific retailers, not retailers, but wholesalers, because, like, for example, or Maine's or any of the companies that do those type of things, because they're already made with the product name right on the cup. I'm looking at my Dunkin' Donuts cup this morning, and it has Dunkin' Donuts all over it, so I know that they got it from that one distributor. So that's the thing with it, is the fact that I can maybe design how I want my restaurant to look, but I can't really design too much else. And depending on the area of the country I live in, The parent company may set the pricing zones for you. So, for example, let's go back to my iced tea. My iced tea up here is 2 something at the actual Dunkin' Donuts in Enwell, but down at Dunkin' Donuts when I was in Florida, it was 89 cents. All right, so I want you to think, what are the top 3 franchises in the world? Okay, not just the United States, but in the world. And I want you to pause the video in a second, and I want you to think, what are the top 3 franchises? I'm going to give you a little hint. Think restaurants. So pause the video. All right, welcome back. What did you put down? Let's see if you got it right. Number 1 franchise company in the entire world is McDonald's. KFC. I bet that one caught you by surprise. And then Burger King. All right. So those are the top 3 franchises that people have purchased the right from the parent company to run that restaurant. All right. So next up, we are talking about multinational corporations. And remember, yesterday we learned that a corporation is any company that is selling stocks. Multinational just means that they have facilities or assets in one more country at least than their home country. So they're in at least 2 countries, but usually many more than that. So I want you to think about what you think the number 1 multinational corporation is. All right, so pause the video. Welcome back. Did you get it right? Walmart. That is the number 1 multinational corporation. Other examples of multinational corporation are Adidas, Apple, and Gap. All right, so the last one I want to talk about today is a conglomerate. And a conglomerate is a number of different companies that are grouped together to form a whole business organization, but they remain distinctly different entities. So, for example, Disney. Disney owns Pixar, which is a animated movie company. They also own the Disney franchise theme parks. They own different stores. They own ABC. They own the Angels. They own ESPN. So there's lots of different things within Disney. All right. General Mills has so many different things underneath it, but the one I wanted to show you was Time Warner. Okay. Now we used to have Time Warner here, but then they got bought out. The cable arm of it got bought out, not the actual whole company. If you were to look at this, okay, so Time Warner's the parent company. They own Turner, which owns TNT, Cartoon Network, and CNN, amongst other things. Then you have them also owning Warner Brothers, which owns DC, and then the other Warner Brothers, whether it's TV, the movie creation. Okay, they also own HBO, which owns Movie Max. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, so conglomerate just means there's lots of different types of businesses within one company. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to go to Quizalize, and I would like you to play the business organizations, and then I would like you on your paper to write down the terms that you had to do in mastery mode so that we can go over those tomorrow. All right, you did a great job today, and I hope to see you soon.